If you checked out my last video with Sigurd, you saw the team that I put together with him with Salt Meliodas, and one of the things that I mentioned is that he is the first dual race character that is in the game. So because I've explored Sigurd's demon composition, I'm going to go over a great human composition that can be made up with him as a focal point. The team is going to be made up of Ban, Sigurd, the new Arthur, with Trigo in the back. So it's just the standard Purgatory Ban team. However, you're able to sub Sigurd in. The reason why he ends up being very strong is that he gets a buff from Arthur if everyone on the team is human. And yes, while he does qualify as demon and human, his demon side doesn't disqualify him from human. I think it's kind of weird. You would think that one would exclude, but I mean, they count it as both fully one and fully the other. So I'm not going to complain, but he is going to be getting that buff as well. So you're able to use him with that Demon Meliodas team, or conversely, you can use him on the Purgatory Ban team. Now, the reason why you would want to use him is because of his attack that has an Amplify skill on it. So Amplify increases the damage by 30% for each active buff on the unit. Now, there's a few ways that you can stack buffs. First off, playing Purgatory Ban, Ban's blue card is a buff that increases the health and gives a healing buff to your team. So there's two buffs right there. So that's a 60% increase of damage, which is already pretty good. But then you're also able to stack up to an increase in your attack through Sigurd's basic ability, which I explained in that last video, but I'll go over it here again. If everyone on the enemy team is stricken with the debuff, then you're able to receive, for each debuff that's on the entire team, you get 10% attack up to a total of, I believe it was 30. So you're already increasing your attack, and then you're increasing your damage dealt with your Amplify. This allows a massive single target burst that can be enough to take an entire unit down. This can be super helpful in mirror matchups where it's hard to kill their Purgatory Ban because he's been stacking HP. If you're able to stack up buffs on Sigurd, Sigurd is actually able to turn around and do a massive amount of damage. Now, it is arguable whether the one or Sigurd is a better unit here. I have played a little bit with both, and honestly, I do find the one to be a little bit more useful, but that's because I've already got all the cosmetics built up, and I already have him at 6 out of 6 for his ulti levels. So for me, it's not necessarily a unit that I'm going to plug in. Maybe when I have Sigurd all the way built in terms of his cosmetics and what have you, I'll plug him into the team. But if you don't yet have the one, or he's not horribly built up, and your Sigurd is just about even, it could be an option for you as well as the third human in that front line. I was able to run through, I did okay, but to be honest, it can be difficult to keep those buffs stacked up. It reminds me a lot of Red Derriere, where you really focus on the buffs and trying to scale everything into that to deliver one massive shot. But in doing so, that kind of ruins the Purgatory Ban team in the sense that Purgatory Ban is about rushing Ban's abilities, keeping him safe using Arthur, and then having a secondary damage dealer. Where your secondary damage dealer requires setup, that's where it may be better just have the one who just straight up does damage. The one's damage up front could theoretically be lower, but is more consistently high. So it's, if I were to say coin flip, I would say it wouldn't quite be 50-50. I would say probably 60-40. You should be using the one over Sigurd, but depending how you have it built, that's going to be a personal situation for you. So if you're Sigurd, you have high levels on him, and you think you'll be able to balance the buff while also building up buffs on Ban so that you can use your ult for maximum damage on the whole team, then I say go for it. It's definitely useful. It absolutely clapped the living shit out of me, so I know that this team does work, but it is a little bit more situational. The one is a little bit more consistent, but this is another third option that you could plug in there. So I just wanted to drop this video real quick because I did think that this was an interesting adaptation to the Purgatory Ban team, which I'll be going over the 3 iterations of in a later video. I've seen a few versions with that work pretty well. There's actually a 4th one that I kind of want to throw in there as well that I've been testing, so I'll have some video about that later on this week. But thank you again for watching. If you didn't watch my last video, I have put a tag in it at the beginning, and it'll be linked at the very end of the video, so feel free to check that out. That is about the Assault Meliodas team with Sigurd as the focus. All right, guys, thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.